You bring up a lot of interesting and new points that aren't really related to necessarily the course of choosing your path. And I want to try to stick to the main points, but I'm thinking maybe we should break it up and do some separate vignettes on the various topics. And I would like to hear more about your uh, experiments with your consciousness or whatever. But I think you have to be careful when you're doing that. There's there's a value to the traditional experimental mode where you have a subject, and the experimenter isn't himself the subject, and the there is a value to that. You can't say that you can't learn anything about consciousness without changing your own consciousness. I think that you can by watching the effects of whatever on other people and listening to their stories. But I'm not at all saying there isn't value to working with your own consciousness and trying to change your own consciousness to perceive the world different ways. I think that's incredibly valuable. I think you're absolutely right about that. The problem with the classical system, as you said, is that there's no way for the experimenter to actually get into the mind of the subject. So all of the information is subjective, and you've got the label hallucination as an improper mode of thinking. What is the best way to perceive what reality is? The whole school of psychology is based on what is good thinking and what is not good thinking, and that's dangerous. That's very dangerous, and it limits not just science, but it limits our culture's advancement and evolution. We can't evolve. We can't change ourselves. We can't decide what is a good way to see the world and what is not a good way to see the world if we're not seeing the world. There's a lot of possibility there for new work, for really good new work on the nature of consciousness, on the nature of the way we perceive things. And I think what you're going to find about physicists, as far as the physicists being spiritual, is that when you study material, the study of material actually leads you to the deeper understandings, the more profound understandings. The more you study the world, the more you realize how mysterious it is and how little we really, really know about it. You realize how juvenile our understandings and explanations about the nature of the world really are. And so, on what science is not admitting into its worldview, I think that's a very, very important question. And you have intuition, you have feeling, and these things are the kind of the no-nos for even psychology. I mean, psychology, it talks about emotion because emotion implies that there is a cause and effect relationship between the two things, and it enables behaviorism. And you've got very real world things that actually are very real that scientists that most scientists will shy away from. They'll actually try. They'll actually, you see them wall themselves off from something that is not something they want to admit. And sometimes it's because they're not good at it or not skilled at it. And you've got the whole idea that you can intuit. In your intuition, you can feel something. You can perceive the state or the status or presence or whatever you want to call it of something at a distance without any known physical mechanism. And this bedevils science because the assumptions are so the assumptions are so, in a sense, juvenile and immature that there's no way for the scientists to get that into a scientific frame, and so because of that, they never develop their spiritual organs generally, and they never develop their intuition. They never develop their extra senses, that are very real things, and they won't even most and I'm generalizing, and all scientists aren't like this, but most hardcore scientists won't even consider. They won't even consider a possibility that involves, one of these kinds of issues, and that's very sad. It's very sad, and um, it's very limiting. That we have that kind of thing going on, and that these other realms are ignored, and yeah.